Hey, movie lovers, this is Leo.
Mike.
And Kevin from Films and Fermentation.
If you love comedy, movies, and a good drink in hand, then you need to check out the Pod Nation Media Network.
It's home to a variety of amazing podcasts covering everything from pulp culture to history and, of course, movies like ours.
And the best part, Pod Nation Media Network is featured on Roku, so you can stream your favorite podcasts anytime.
Alongside Films and Fermentation, you'll find other fantastic shows like the KJ&A podcast, The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, Real Sharks, and so many more.
So grab a drink, press play, and join the fun with Pod Nation Media Network.
Because everything's better with a little comedy, movies, and booze.
Learn more by going to linktree.com/podnationpods.
Films and fermentation, movies and inebriation with films and fermentation, comedy mixed with taste elevation. Films and fermentation with Leo, KEVMAN, and Mike.
Really love our new theme song. I enjoy it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 184. Tonight, we decided, since there's so many awesome movies that are celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, that we just do one whole episode on the year 1985. So it's this year in film history for 1985. Again, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. Number one pop culture podcast on Good Pods, and according to the email I got from Good Pods today, the number one all-time beer podcast on Good Pods. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we mix movie nostalgia with a splash of liquid inspiration. Today, we're hopping into our DeLorean and setting the flux capacitor for 1985, a year when Rocky ended the Cold War, a bunch of misfits searched for pirate treasure, and a time-traveling teenager almost erased himself from existence. It was a year of epic blockbusters, questionable fashion choices, and soundtracks that still slap. So grab a wine cooler, crank up the power of love, and join us as we relive the cinematic magic of 85. Just remember, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Oh, shit. I got to go change I need a wine cooler.
You guys are going to like the drink I have for tonight, I think. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. We're on everything out there. We're on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and we're everywhere, and we'd like to hear from you because I would like to sometime in the near future do a little mailbag episode. So please send us your comments, questions, suggestions, whatever it might be. You could also become part of the Films and Fermentation family by following us at the Pod Nation Media Network on Roku. We are an independent podcast, which means we are listener supported. So please consider also joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month to receive members only content. It's right, for a limited time, for a $1 donation, Mike will send you an oddly specific haiku about your life. Go to patreon.com/films and fermentation or purchase our merchandise at teespring.com. You can also text us. Haiku, you know. There once was a man from Nantucket.
That's a limerick.
Yeah, that's right. That is a limerick, isn't it? Mike could do those too. You can send your limerick and haiku ideas to 904-867-4466. That's the official Films and Fermentation text line. We'd also like to welcome you. Welcome to the Pod Nation Media Network, the newest member, Jeremy Bryant, host of Paranormal: The New Normal podcast, as well as Maniacal Music Musings. I think I said that right. Mike and I were on Jeremy's Paranormal New Normal podcast a while back, doing a movie bracket episode. So, Jeremy, welcome to the network, and check out his podcasts. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Gentlemen, you had tasted this a couple weeks ago. This is from Eclipse Brewing in Merchantville, New Jersey. This is their S'mores Stout. It is 8% alcohol by volume. And it is a stout beer with the fun flavors of chocolate, marshmallow fluff, and graham. And
I did like that beer.
it was good. It was really good. And I just need a little way of getting the cap or the tab up. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Mike, what are you drinking?
I went to the refrigerator and I'm still cleaning out.
Mm-hmm.
So I am drinking a Naked Elf ale from Dogs.
I like how Mike gets all southern when he says the name of that beer. It's a Naked Elf.
Naked.
Naked Elf.
Naked Elf.
Naked.
Naked Elf. I have some of those in my fridge too. I'm sorry, Kev. Did you have a second beer for tonight? You usually do.
I would, except that this is a crowler, so it's 32 ounces.
So you
If I were
basically
to
have
drink
beers,
the
yeah.
second one, that's 64 ounces, and I'm no mathematician, but that's a
lot of
gallon, I
ounces.
think, isn't it? 64 ounces.
64 ounces.
Yeah.
It might be. I don't know. I'm not a mathologist either. So
Oh, I think that might be 128 ounces, at least a half a gallon.
I am drinking a cocktail tonight inspired by 1985, and in particular, one movie. I will tell you the drink and see if you can guess the movie that I based my drink on. It is a mixed drink of vodka, cherry liqueur, vermouth, bitters, and some Sprite for color. Mixed it all together, it gives it this very, very crimson look to it. The drink is called Communism is Just a Red Herring.
Blue.
And it's actually pretty good. I, too, have to work tomorrow like the rest of you. And if I drink a lot of this, I'll probably have a problem, but I don't care.
This guy needs beer.
This guy's wearing his brand new Super Bowl t-shirt. I also got my...
I'm representing the podcast.
The brand.
I wore that last week.
Got my brand new hat too. Well, my stuff finally came in that I ordered. My
My
hoodie
hat
came in too. All my stuff.
The podcast.
Anyway, moving on.
This week in film history with Mike. This week in film history with Mike.
It was a slow week.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, in 1952, African Queen film directed by John Hudson, starring Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, is released in the U.S.
I think it's the only film that Humphrey Bogart won an Oscar for Best Actor. Probably should have got it for Casablanca, but this I think it was like one of those ones where they considered it kind of like a career Oscar.
Not the Maltese Falcon.
Not the Maltese Falcon either. I know, right?
Mhm.
John Huston, African Queen. I think it won for Best Picture too. All right, let's hear Mike do some Russian names. Go for it.
In 1958 adaptation of Fedora by Adore.
That's where we get the fedora hat from.
Yeah.
Fyodor.
It's Theodore,
Theodore.
like Theodore with an F.
Like
Yeah.
Alvin, Simon, and Fyodor.
And Theodore, yeah, Theodore.
Theodore Dostoevsky. Hey, I can't. Hey, it's a lot of valves there.
It's
a
cool.
lot
It's
of
clear.
valves
It's clear sailing from here on in, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
the rest of this. Yeah.
The brothers Karamazov,
Okay.
Mhm.
starring Yul Brynner and featuring William Shatner's film debut, premieres in Radio City Music Hall, New York City.
It's funny.
Yeah, there you go. You just stumbled a
It's a
little.
lot of fucking valves.
A lot of fucking valves. That thing.
It is Fyodor Dostoevsky, and it's called the Brothers Karamazov, which is the novel that he wrote that this film was based on. William Shatner's film debut. I meant to look this up earlier, and I didn't get a chance to do it. I wanted to see. It has to be a small role
Okay.
in this movie. But I know Shatner was in another thing in 1958 as well, because I've shown it in class when I taught it. There was a film version of Oedipus the King. There was a stage production filmed and released, and William Shatner is in that as a member of the chorus, but you wouldn't know it because he's wearing a mask the entire time because the chorus all wear masks.
Is it a Michael Myers mask?
No.
The irony.
The irony of it all. William Shatner plays Alexei Karamazov. Oh, he's one of the brothers Karamazov. I would like to check this out to see if he actually tries to do a Russian accent because I know Yul Brynner has one, but I don't know if William Shatner can handle it. I'll have to look that up later.
We travel to strange new worlds.
Strong,
Seek out
like
new life,
bear.
new civilizations.
It's hard to
Holy
do a Russian
God.
accent in William
No
Shatner
man
style.
gone before.
And the next one you got there, Mike.
1968 children's educational TV program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, debuts on NET, now PBS.
I love that
Debuted
man.
in Pittsburgh.
I don't mind saying it. I love that man. He was
I
a
love that man too.
great-
He's one of my heroes.
Yeah, he was a great man.
I still like I look up his quotes once in a while because they always make you feel
Mhm.
good when you read them. I'll tell you what, man. I haven't seen the movie with Tom Hanks playing him yet, but I saw the documentary about the show. I think it's called "Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood" is the name of the
Mhm.
documentary. I saw it in the theater. I've never seen a documentary in the theater before, but I went to the Ritz in Center City. I went to the Ritz in Center City to see it.
too.
Yeah, and it was a packed house in the middle of the day
Yeah.
for a documentary.
Yeah, there were
And
people with what's the tiger's name? Daniel
Daniel.
Tiger.
Yeah,
They had the puppets. They had ears. A lot of
yeah.
people
I
wearing,
was. It was insane.
cardigans.
Yeah, it was crazy how
Mhm.
packed it was. But at the end of that movie, man, everybody in that theater, including me, were fucking sobbing.
Yeah.
It was such an emotional documentary. It was so good.
One clip of him that comes up often when you're scrolling through things is his testimony in front of a committee for Congress.
yeah.
I think that's like justifying the need for
Public television.
public television.
Mhm.
And to listen to him speak and respond to the senator asking the question, like I think the senator was not really trying for a gotcha, but it was like a legit question. He just seemed to floor him, to catch him off guard.
You can actually see the senator's mind like changed, like he
Yeah.
changed his mind, and you can see it in his face that he was
Yeah.
changing his mind.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how great! That's how great a speaker Fred Rogers was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I love Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's it
was-
for
Film this week in film history.
that's this week in Russian dialect with Mike. Yeah, it was a short one this week. Not a lot going on.
Not a lot going on.
Yeah, that's okay. You have any must-try beer or craft destination for this evening, sir?
I have a must-try beer. This is the Ergo Light Low-Cal IPA from Ska Brewing Company in Durango, Colorado. At only 99 calories and 4 grams of carbs per 12-ounce serving, this 4.2 ABV session strength IPA still manages to pack a big pine, mango, and orange hop aroma. It pours hazy orange with coarse white foam and sticky lace. Sweetness and heft are minimal on the palate, but bitterness is fairly restrained as well, giving an overall impression of dryness. There's lots of flavor on the palate, though, with uh, ripe pineapple coming through. If you love hops but can't commit to a full strength IPA, this is your your triple. Not me.
Yeah. I was going to say, but does it have any of this?
There's a party in the barn down the dusty old road where the rhythm meets the ranch and the funk overloads. The pigs are in the pan, keeping time with their snouts, and the chickens in the rafters got the funk all figured out. Oh, the rooster's crowing in a wild.
That is Films and Fermentation's new single, Barnyard Funk, coming to a Tower Records near you very soon.
I only shop at the wall.
Yeah, I'm more of a Borders kind of guy. Anyway,
But he got it.
yeah.
Kevin's here, he's here for a beer. He's got news, it's beer and news with Kevin.
Any beer news tonight, Kev?
Sure. I can dig something up. Let me just do a little. Okay, here we go. Tom Holland was rejected trying to buy his own non-alcoholic beer brand in Target.
What?
You sit on a throne of lies.
It's typically your
You don't
time
have
to
to-
charm.
You don't have to make it up, man. I'm just fucking. with
No.
you.
I got it, I got it. You put me on the spot. I thought,
No, I got beer
news.
Here-
No,
here it
the
is.
beer
Here
news
it
is
is.
beer news.
You said you had no beer news. I played the song only because I love the song.
I'm going to tell you about Tom Holland anyway. So
Go ahead, tell me
buckle
about
up,
Tom Holland.
Buttercup. It's typically third time's a charm, but not necessarily for Tom Holland. The actor recently took to his social media to document the hunt for his own non-alcoholic beer brand, Barrow, B-E-R-O, Barrow, to Target.
Barrow.
However, he ended up getting rejected while trying to buy it due to his United Kingdom ID.
Mm.
So I haven't been in the United States for a while, Holland said in the video that has since expired on his Instagram story, but was re-uploaded on social media by fans. And I'm going to go visit some Barrow on the shelves out in the wild. After going to 2 different Targets with no luck finding Barrow on the shelves, the Spider-Man actor eventually found his non-alcoholic beer brand at the 3rd store. Okay, I found it, and I just walked straight past it by accident, a delighted Holland told the camera. However, he revealed in the next clip that actually buying the non-alcoholic beer would be another challenge. Okay, so success. I found some. The crowded room actor said while he was walking through the parking lot. I bought it. They wouldn't accept my ID because it's English and I couldn't prove my age. So a really lovely employee, I guess, had scanned their ID. So he's buying beer illegally.
It's non-alcoholic beer.
I'm sitting here
know.
thinking the same thing. Like, what do you need ID for if it's non-alcoholic?
He responded with kind of ironic that I wasn't allowed to buy my own product, but yeah, feeling good. This is exciting, he added. Holland, who has been open about his sobriety, previously said that he was inspired to create Barrow after he quit drinking and said on the On Purpose with Jay Shetty podcast in 2023 that he initially participated in Dry January in 2022, but found himself consistently thinking about having a drink, so he decided to refrain from drinking for 6 months. Once he learned that he could maintain his sobriety, he recalled feeling the happiest he's ever been in his life. I could sleep better, I could handle my problems better, Holland said at the time. Things that would go wrong on set would that would normally set me off, I would just take in my stride. I had such better mental clarity. I felt healthier. I felt fitter. And I just sort of said to myself, why? Why am I enslaved to this drink? Why am I so obsessed by the idea of having this drink? Boy, that's a crummy article because that's how it ends. Yay! You found it.
I'm still stuck on the ID for non-alcohol. They should pay you for buying non-alcoholic beer. I have clarity and happiness now too.
Why?
Yeah, I didn't have to give up beer and alcohol and all to get clarity and happiness. I just started taking Zoloft. That solved a lot of problems. All right.
That was Beer News is Good News with KEVMAN.
So we're moving on to our main segment tonight, which is this year in film history for 1985. So for this, we're looking at films that were released within the year. It's all in-year releases, so between January of 85 and December of 85. It's not calendar gross, which would include some films from 1984, which we already did a This Year in Film History 1984 episode way back when. You can go back into the early annals of our catalog to find that episode. So this is just films that were released within the calendar year, within the year 1985.
He said,
we're going to take a look at these films, talk about them a little bit. Do they still hold up today? What makes them so iconic? Things like that. And then as we get a little deeper into the list, we're gonna just kind of stop and look at like a few films here and there. We're just kind of highlight them because there are a lot of songs, a lot of movies on this list, and
a lot of songs too.
A lot of songs too. Yeah, we want to spend too much time on this tonight. But to introduce this segment, I have a special musical interlude here. The first film on the list for 1985, if anybody knows anything about this year, you know that this movie had to be number one. It's Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox and et al. And it's I think it's a classic.
Maybe.
But the film also features Crispin Glover playing Marty McFly's father in the film, both the young version and the older version. Crispin Glover is a very interesting gentleman. And after the success of this film, he decided to release his own album of experimental surreal music. So I'd like to play a small clip for you of one of the singles from that album. It's Crispin Glover's Clowny Clown Clown. And if anybody would like to listen to the rest of the album, it is available for free on the Internet Archive and includes his cover of These Boots Are Made for Walking, in which he cries the entire song. But in the meantime, here's Clowny Clown Clown from Crispin Glover.
I was walking on the ground, I didn't make a sound, then I turned around and I saw a clown, had a frown, stood on a mound, started barking like a hound. When I came to it, I found he showed me something that was brown. So we became great friends, and late in life, he got sick. I gave him some soup, but he got worse. It asked for its purse. It got it, but it was empty, so it cried aplenty. I wondered what to do. I didn't.
Yeah. What? It really makes you appreciate the penis to vagina song, doesn't it?
What? It makes me appreciate Will Shatner music.
Yeah. Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
No. It makes me really appreciate Bilbo Baggins.
Go Baggins. Well, that's an awesome song. This was Clowny Clown Clown from Crispin Glover.
What
I'm telling you,
the-
you want to hear something special. You got to hear his cover of These boots are made for walking. So anyway, back to the list. Number one, grossing $212 million that year, opening at 11 million and as number one for the entire year after a July 3rd opening is Back to the Future. It's the power of love. Anybody got anything you want to say about this?
Johnny be good.
It'd be good, yeah. It's
I
probably
don't
the
know
most.
I don't know if I saw this one.
You know, if you saw this one, yeah, right.
It's the one they go back to the Wild West in a train.
Yeah,
Wait a minute, that's the third one.
that's the third one. Stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson. Oh, Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Crispin
So
Glover,
he
Tom
invents
Wilson.
this. He
Go ahead.
invents this time machine, and he goes back to stop the Kennedy assassination. Oh, yeah, that would have been really good. Well, now I don't want to tell you my pitch. He goes back and tries to fuck his mom.
No, I don't think he tries. I think she tries to fuck him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the John Mulaney skit, which ends with like the studio going, "Tell us more." So this movie, as I said, it grossed by the end of its run, which was in 1986. It had grossed $385 million plus on a $19 million budget. That is, it's amazing that it was that low of a budget, considering how iconic the film is and the effects and everything they had in it. But then when you think about it, there really wasn't a lot in that film, special effects wise, other than the DeLorean going
And
back
the
in time.
lightning. Yes, that's about it.
Like that was about it. There really wasn't much else. I do love. I think my favorite joke in the film is when he goes to visit Doc Brown in 1955, and he looks exactly the same as he does in 1985. Like he hasn't changed at all.
He did.
Now, here's something scary in case you haven't thought of this yet. The movie was made in 1985, takes place in 1985. He travels 30 years into the past to 1955, but the movie came out 40 years ago. The movie is officially older than the time travel trip he makes in the film. So, do you think this film still holds up today?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. My students have seen it,
I see this consistently on like list of like movies that they better never make a remake of. Like never reboot this film. Because if you did, then the person would have. Yeah, go ahead. They already what?
Ghostbusters. They already rebooted Ghostbusters. So
I know. And they did it with RoboCop, Ghostbusters, Total Recall. They've done it with all of them. But I mean, they made this one into a Broadway musical.
Still waiting for the Police Academy reboots.
Yeah, because we need more Police Academy films.
We do.
Bring back the Goot.
As long as it has the Goot and Michael Winslow
Mhm.
making noises, I'm good. Yeah, I think this film definitely still holds. I actually wasn't. I think I watched it within the last year, maybe. Yeah, it's still a great movie. Still makes me laugh. I still find the Johnny B. Good segment kind of ridiculous, but other than that,
Just a little bit.
still a great movie. Yeah. Next on the list, number 2. God, I can't believe this is number 2. Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
I still laugh watching this one too.
I'm laughing just because
I prefer part 1.
here's what's so weird about it is like Rambo First Blood Part 2. Like that, first off, that title is just so unwieldy. And it's so different from the first film.
Yeah.
Like the first film was a go ahead, Mike, what are you gonna say?
It's a total departure from the first film.
Yeah, the first film was acting. Like it was an actual like a movie about a Vietnam War vet with PTSD.
So the
Just
first one
trying
didn't
to,
end with to be continued,
No.
and like continue the story from the first one.
No.
No.
Second one is just a pure action film.
They
That
take him
really,
and send him back to Vietnam.
Send them back to Vietnam. Yeah, it's. I mean, I still like the movie Rambo 2. I think it was an enjoyable like popcorn film. I watched it a lot as a kid for some reason. I probably shouldn't have been watching it. I was like 10, but it's so like the first film actually ended with him dying. I think he gets shot by the cops or something, or kills himself or something at the end of the first film. And the test audiences didn't like it, so they changed the ending. And because they changed the ending, you now have a sequel.
2 sequels.
More than 2, because there was Rambo Part 2, Part 3, and then he did another like Return to Rambo movie, like late in life, like he did with the Rocky films.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it was just called Rambo. And then he did another one recently called Rambo Last Blood.
My God.
You can see how well those did.
Yeah.
I think this is good if you look at it in terms of being an action film, but not if you're trying to compare it to the first Rocky film. That being said, the movie
is better than the third one.
It is better than the third one. That being said, it still was number 2 in the box office that year, having made 150 million plus just within 1985. It was released in May, so I think it ran a little bit into 1986 as well. But just that year, it made $150 million, making it number 2 in the box office. And speaking of Stallone, number 3 in the box office that year, Rocky 4.
Which was released in November, so it made a huge money in just a few months.
Huge money in just 2 months. Yeah, it made enough to put it number 3 on the list.
When you bring back Apollo Creed, and
kill him,
I mean, now you're fighting the zombie Apollo Creed.
That's later.
This is the film. Yeah, that's part 8. That's Rocky 5.
Rocky goes to Mars.
Rocky 4 is the movie that ended the Cold War.
If I could change,
and
you can
change, the world can change. Yeah, thanks to Rocky, the Iron Curtain fell.
Come on, you have
the Cold War ended.
The whole workout,
right? Tear down this wall.
Turn the wall. Oh man, Rocky 4 not the best of the Rocky films. I was really pissed off when they killed Apollo Creed.
Oh yeah,
Ivan Drago. It must break you. He dies. So talk about a departure here. You go from Back to the Future, Rambo Part 2, and Rocky 4 to number 4, The Color Purple. It's quite the change of pace there. Color Purple, of course, one of Steven Spielberg's first serious, dramas.
Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, Oprah.
Oprah was in it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a good movie. Hard movie to watch more than once.
Yeah.
It was one of those films that's like, wow, Steven Spielberg is directing that. And I think that has a lot to do with it because this is the time when Spielberg's name on anything just made it an event.
Yeah.
Because then we're going to see Spielberg's name at least 3 or 4 more times on this list, I think, just from 1985 alone. Color Purple, anyway, was released in December of that year, opened to $1.7 million. Pretty good opening. Went on to make $94 million at the end of its run. So that's pretty good gross for that film. It went on to be nominated for a number of Oscars, Best Picture, Best Director for Spielberg, Supporting Actress for Whoopi and Oprah. It didn't win any awards, but, actually made Spielberg more of like a legitimate director than the box office director that people kind of took him for. Next on the list, number 5, making $87 million that year, released in December as well, Out of Africa.
Yeah.
Never seen Out of Africa. I know it's hard. It's weird to hear me say the words, I've never seen this, unless we're talking about A Wonderful Life. But I've never seen Out of Africa.
This is the one where Meryl Streep loses the baby to the dingo.
No.
No, that's
No?
in Australia.
Oh,
Dingoes are wild dogs in Australia.
I was
This
close.
takes place in Africa. In 20th century colonial Kenya, a Danish baroness and plantation owner has a passionate love affair with a free-spirited big game hunter, played by Robert Redford. I know this. I think this won Best Picture that year.
I think it did as well.
I think it won Best Picture over a number of films that you could have argued were better pictures.
Like number 11.
Like number 11, was that one of the best pictures? Police Academy 2. Yeah, that was definitely up for Best Picture that year. I gotta bring up the Oscars for '86 because I know it was like a controversial win. Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't think it was Police Academy 2. Let's see here. Best Picture in 1986, which would have been for the 1985 films. Out of Africa won, beating out The Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Pritzi's Honor, and Witness.
Oh,
I think
I
Witness,
liked Witness.
Witness was the movie I think people thought was going to win. It's the only movie that Harrison Ford's ever gotten a nomination for.
Oh, yeah.
Was Witness.
He plays a good Amishman.
Yeah. Plays a good cop undercover as an Irishman, yeah.
He was undercover there.
Next film, number 6. Speaking of the Goot, opening in June at a opening box office of almost $8 million, making $76 million in its run. This was a surprise hit in most people's eyes that year. Cocoon. The Goot.
The Goot. He was all over. He was all over 85. Come on.
Yeah, it was Don Amici, Wilfred Brimley, Hugh Cronin, Brian Dennehy, Steve Guttenberg, Maureen Stapleton, Jessica Tandy, like a who's who of really old people.
Mm-hmm.
And Goot.
They got plenty of Bengay on that set, I'll tell you that.
When a group of trespassing seniors swim in a pool containing alien cocoons, they find themselves energized with youthful vigor. Wilfred Brimley was, I believe, 48 when he did this movie.
He was Mike's age?
He was my age. I'm 47. He was my age.
There was
a senior.
There was this post I saw today saying when the people you watch that were old are your age.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and it was like Wilfred Brimley was 50. I think it was Red Fox was like 40 something.
Like, all playing like senior citizens.
Yeah. What's his name from All in the Family? He was like 45.
Carol Connor.
Carol Connor.
Yeah. 45.
And they were all playing like so much older than what they were.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm almost as old as Wilfred Brimley was in Cocoon. He's playing a senior.
Yeah.
I feel like a senior sometimes.
You look like a senior.
I do look like a senior sometimes. I got the white beard and everything. I did have one of my students the other day to tell me she thought I was in my 30s. And I told her she was already my favorite. She didn't have to say that.
She wanted that age.
Next one, number 7, $75 million gross over that year. Jewel of the Nile.
When
the
sequel. Gets tough.
And Mike's going to hit us with some of the soundtracks of that year.
What was bigger, the movie or the soundtrack?
The soundtrack, because the movie was nowhere near as good as the first one. So Jewel of the Nile is the sequel to Romancing the Stone, starring Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito. The first one was such a monster hit and like another like sort of unexpected hit. This was actually released almost a year after the first film came out. It was like one of those like real quick turnarounds, like, oh, we did really well with the first one, let's make another one. And
they should have took their time and did a little more. tweaking of the
yeah,
script.
maybe wait a year or two, do some script doctoring a little bit.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the best, not one of the ones that held up the best out of all these.
Didn't they
Back in
do
the
a
ones that-
third movie? Didn't they do War of the Roses? Did that also have Danny DeVito?
So
It
that
did.
one was, yeah, it was the same three actors, and that
But it
one was
was-
directed by Danny DeVito as well.
But it had nothing to do with the first two, these two.
No,
It
it
was
wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the same characters, but it was just like, oh, the three of them are back again.
Yeah.
War of the Roses is okay. That's a weird one. I forgot to ask this question with some of these movies. Talking about, do they still hold up today? We already said Back to the Future definitely does. Rambo First Blood Part 2?
No.
No. Rocky 4? I mean, if you're a Rocky fan, it still holds up.
Yeah.
I'm a Rocky fan. I could watch 4. 5 shit the bed.
I stopped at 4, so
You're not missing anything after that. Color Purple, I think, still holds up
Yes.
today because it's a
Yeah.
time piece. It's a what do you call period piece, and they always tend to last a while. And they just made a reboot last year, I believe. That was a musical.
Musical, yeah.
Out of Africa again. I have never seen this one.
it's a period piece as well. So
Yeah, I don't really have a desire to see it either. So, I think Cocoon still holds up. I feel
Yeah.
like, even though it's even though it is kind of an out of date film, but I still feel like it's a film that's kind of fun.
the special effects would definitely be out of date.
Oh yeah. But I think it's still like a pretty fun movie.
Story, I think. Would be
Yeah.
nice.
Jewel in the Nile, I don't think was good then.
No. When the go gets tough.
Tough. Yeah. Number 8 on the list we just mentioned already is Witness, one of the films that was up for Best Picture that year. Harrison Ford's only Oscar nomination for Best Actor was for the film Witness. It made $68 million that year. This is a film I think that holds up today still.
Yeah, Kelly. I
Um,
can't think of her name. Kelly.
Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis. That's it.
Yeah, she was in that. Yeah, so it was Harrison Ford, Kelly McGillis, Lucas Haas, Danny Glover's in this. A good movie. While
Was it
protecting an
filmed in
Amish boy. Yes, I think it was filmed in. Was it like Bucks County area, something like that? Like it's near Philly where it was filmed. Yeah. While protecting an Amish boy who was the sole witness to a murder, and his mother, a detective, is forced to seek refuge within their community when his own life is threatened. That community being an Amish community, of course. And he falls in love with Kelly McGillis' character, who is an Amish woman. It holds up. It's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. One of the first appearances of Viggo Mortensen too.
Yeah. We already know that number 9 is a great movie.
Yeah, we just did an episode on that one. So.
We just did an episode on this film. It was episode 180. Goonies Are Good Enough, where we took a look back at the film Goonies for its 40th anniversary. So if you want to know more about our opinion of that film, you can just go back and listen to that episode. It wasn't too long ago that we did that one. Goonies opened at $9 million and finished at $61 million. Pretty good for a little engine that could kind of movie, even though it was produced by Steven Spielberg. All right. The next one on this list. I love this fucking movie.
I knew you were going to say
I
that.
really love this movie. God, it definitely doesn't hold up today.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't.
I actually saw, I think it's on, God, I want to say it's on like Tubi or one of those free ones now, and I kind of have to watch it again. So this movie opened to $8 million, had a $60 million finishing gross. It was number 10 that year. Stars 2 80s comedy icons, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase. The movie is called.
Yeah.
Go ahead, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying they're SNL alumni too.
Yeah, this is a movie called Spies Like Us. It's a Cold War comedy.
But Rocky just ended the Cold War.
They came out the same year. Like they had to. You need at least a buffer before the Cold War ends. You know.
He ended in November, and it came out in December.
It's less than 2 months, man. Like it needs a little more time to gain traction. There's a lot of paperwork involved. You know, Reagan had to sign some stuff. Gorbachev had to sign some shit. You know, Spies Like Us is a goofy spy comedy starring Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase as two bumbling government workers who are training to be spies. They're being used as decoys. They don't realize they're not the real spies. You know, it kind of comes off the heels of Stripes, which came out a few years before this.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of feel like this was the answer to that film, but I find Spies Like Us more rewatchable as much as I like Stripes. But I think Spies Like Us is just a fun film. I don't think it holds up today.
No.
It is a very 80s film. But I enjoy it. Number 11 on the list, Mike's favorite film of the year. Another Goot classic. Police Academy 2, their first assignment. I don't remember this.
That's the first one with Bob.
It's the first one with
Bobcat.
Bobcat. It's the first one with Bobcat.
He was the bad guy.
He was the villain. He becomes a cop in the third one. That's
Yeah.
all I remember is that he becomes a cop in the third one. I remember nothing else about the second film.
I remember
the-
dancing in the club.
Every movie, those two guys end up dancing in the Blue Rooster Club. But I don't remember much about it. Like I remember the first one because I actually watched it recently, and I thought to myself, "Boy, Police Academy is definitely a movie that cannot be made today."
No.
It's up there with like Porky's.
I don't think 2 or 3 could be made today either.
No, when you get to like number 4, and there was actually 8 movies in the Police Academy franchise.
Oh, really?
But
Well,
number
after-
4, yeah.
3, I don't think Gutenberg was in it.
Yeah, Gutenberg did not return for the 4th one, and numbers 4 through 8 are more like goofy, like kid friendly almost. You know,
Oh, so
because they
kinda
had
like,
the Police Academy cartoon at the time too.
So it was like Revenge of the Nerds too.
Yeah,
Remember,
kinda.
took off in that hot air balloon with Kim Cattrall.
Yeah. Yeah, he decided he would rather do 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Number 12 is Fletch, another Chevy Chase film. Made $50 million that year. This is a film I think kind of gets forgotten.
Yeah.
It's a fun, you know, if you're a fan of Chevy Chase, you will like this film. If you're not a fan of Chevy Chase's brand of comedy, you're going to hate it. But otherwise, you know, it's a film that I feel like kind of gets forgotten about. Fletch is an undercover, wisecracking newspaper reporter who's offered a large sum of money by a millionaire with a terminal disease to kill him. Intrigued, Fletch decides to unearth the story behind the offer, rather. Yeah. Number 13, The View to a Kill.
Dance into the fire.
I was say Mike is our James Bond
Mhm.
expert. So,
You know who the villain of this one was?
oh, this is Christopher Walken. I'm going to know who the villain is in this thing. Man. I may not know the movie that well, but I know who the villain is.
Roger
See,
Moore.
Mr. Bond, what we needed on this planet, just more cowbell.
Well, cowbell. I was disappointed he was on the 50th anniversary of SNL. I'm trying to remember which one this one was, though. This is
This is the one with
is it about a microchip or something?
with Grace. What's her name?
I got it. It's Tanya Roberts is the
Yes.
Bond girl. Grace Jones plays
Grace
Mayday.
Yeah, Mayday.
She's Christopher Walken's right hand woman.
Yes.
Christopher Walken is Max Zorin. Was this the last Roger Moore one?
I believe it was.
Yeah, because this was 1985. He would have started in the 70s. So yeah, I think it might have been his last one. Yeah, Christopher Walken.
It's one of the first ones I saw in the theater.
Okay. Well, you would have been what?
85? 85, I was only 11.
Number 14 on the list, making $49 million that year. National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Look, kids, Big Ben. Look, kids, Big Ben.
We talked about this before because we did an episode on Christmas Vacation. I think last year, the year before that, and we ranked the vacation films. And for me, this is number 3. I was like, mine is Christmas Vacation, the original Vacation, European Vacation. We don't talk about Vegas Vacation. Does the European Vacation hold up?
Parts of it, I think. I think
Is
them
it-
going to them in Europe does. I don't think the way they got to Europe does.
No. That he's on the game show, and the game show host like makes out with the teenage daughter.
His fondlers are right on TV. You know, come on.
They were what making fun of who's the guy that hosted Family Feud at the time?
Richard Dawson.
Richard Dawson, because he used to do that shit all the time. Where he's always like sticking a tongue in grandma's mouth. Yeah, I don't know if this one holds up that well. I know Christmas Vacation definitely holds up because it still gets watched every year. And I think the original Vacation probably holds up a little better than this one does. But the European one has some funny moments, like the Big Ben thing's funny when they visit the German family that he thinks is his family.
Yeah,
Kind of funny. Naked Beverly D'Angelo won't get old. Next one. It's funny. This one is I forgot this came out in '85. It's been coming up on my TikTok feed a lot recently for some reason, like clips from this movie. It's Mask, starring Cher and Eric Stoltz as Rocky Dennis. And I'm like, why is this all of a sudden popping up on my feed?
because it's 40 years old.
It's just weird. Like the weirdest movies will pop up on TikTok, and on TikTok it's like a 30-second clip, and then they'll show like a bunch of different 30-second clips here and there, and it's like, why are all these Rocky Dennis clips coming up all of a sudden?
Well, on my Facebook feed, it's like after we do an episode, 2 weeks later, it's nothing but the movie we just did. I'm like, son of a bitch.
That's because you're sharing the links and stuff that I post on there, and then all of a sudden it's in your algorithm now. Teenager with a massive facial skull deformity and a biker gang mother attempt to live as normal a life as possible under the circumstances. Boy, I love those IMDb synopses, man. So that's Cher, Eric Stoltz, Sam Elliott's in this. Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls, she's in it. Laura Dern, young Laura Dern. It's an okay movie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. You kind of know how it's going to end. And yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't know if this is one that it's funny, like I said, that it's coming up on TikTok because I don't know if it's a movie that still kind of stands up today or not. The next one, oddly enough, I think still stands the test of time. Number 16 on the list is The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
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 It's the archetype of the teenagers because there's still kids, even though there's cell phones now. There's still
you still
kids
have your emo kids. You still have your jocks. You still have your
nerds,
and
your preps,
queens. Prom
princesses.
queens.
Your crazy girls like Kevin loves.
Yep.
Ali Sheedy.
What are you going to say about Megan?
Kevin just has a thing for girls who eat sandwiches with dandruff in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This pixie sticks and dandruff sandwiches. Here's what I don't think stands up in this film is the end of the film when they do the Ali Sheedy makeover, and it's like, okay, now she's beautiful. I was never
as to Short Circuit.
Yeah, like I was never a big fan of that, like, make yourself conform to be accepted kind of shit. But other than that, it's still a movie. And speaking of soundtracks,
yeah,
a hell of a soundtrack in this film. It ended up making $45 million that year, which I think is kind of low, but still a movie that we'll still talk about today. And Mike actually brought this up that August of this year is going to be the anniversary of John Hughes's passing. So we think maybe sometime around that time we'll do a little look back at John Hughes's career.
I was going to say, was this the first John Hughes movie of '85 that showed up on the list? I think
The first one on this list, but there is another one on here.
There is.
There's another one on here.
It's
A little further down. St. Elmo's Fire is not.
No.
No, it is the Brat Pack, but
it is but it's not a Hughes film. But there is a Hughes film on this list a little further down. So let's bang through these last few here in the top 20, and then we'll go to our pick a few out of 10 thing. Number 17 is White Knights. This movie stars Mikhail Baryshnikov and what was his name? Gregory Hines. Film about dancers in Russia trying to defect to America. I saw this movie when I was a kid, and I was bored out of my mind. But it's probably because I was a little kid. I wonder now if I rewatched it if it would be better. But number 18 that year, $41 million at the box office, Pale Rider. Mike, is this one you're familiar with?
Not very well. It is an Eastwood movie.
Yeah, I feel like I just thought maybe because it was like
I've seen it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I just figured because you're a Southern guy, you would know those Western films. Mysterious preacher protects a humble prospector village from a greedy mining company trying to encroach on their land. This is one of like the last films that Eastwood did in the cowboy category until he did Unforgiven in the 90s.
Yeah.
Number 19, I thought this movie was later. I didn't realize this came out in 85. Stars Paul Rubens, best known to most people as Pee Wee Herman. It's Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
It's Tim Burton's directorial debut.
Yeah, Tim Burton's directorial debut. We talked about that in our Tim Burton episode way back when. Made $40 million that year. Brought about Pee Wee's Playhouse afterwards. A movie that I don't think anybody expected to be a hit. It was a movie that got played every day after school in my house because my sisters loved it. I hated the film until like I was a lot older and watched it again and understood some of the adult jokes in it.
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
It actually is a kind of entertaining film when you think about it. I do get pissed off at the Rube Goldberg machine he uses at the beginning to make breakfast, and it only eats one Mr. T cereal. That being said, I don't think this is a movie that holds up today.
No.
I'd be hard pressed to show this, I think, to a kid and see if they actually enjoy it.
I would say though, if I ever did lose my bicycle, I'd probably start looking at the Alamo first.
You gotta go to the basement. It's the basement of the Alamo.
Basement of the Alamo.
That's a joke that I always liked in that film was he calls the girlfriend up and she's like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm in Texas." She's like, "What?" He goes, "Listen, the stars at night are big and bright." And then everybody around him goes, "Deep in the heart of Texas." Number 20, Brewster's Millions. This is a Richard Pryor film. Classic. This is the one where he's a minor league baseball player who will get an inheritance. What is it? He has to spend so much money or something. I'm looking it up.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact plot. I haven't seen this one in a while.
I thought this was the toy when I first got it. Oh no! That's the other one.
Yeah, I think that's the next film he does after this. This one is a minor league baseball player has to spend $30 million in 30 days in order to inherit $300 million. However, he's not allowed to own any assets, destroy the money, gift it, or give it to charity, or tell anyone about the deal. So he has to spend $30 million in 30 days, but he has a very like strict set of rules he has to follow. And if he can do it, he'll inherit $300 million. This is a movie that kind of, not that Richard Pryor wasn't already popular as a stand-up comedian, and he had already done a couple films with Gene Wilder at this point, but this is the one that kind of solidified him as like a box office star in his own right. And you also have John Candy in this film as well. And another actor we already mentioned, Hume Cronin from Cocoon. I haven't seen this one in a really long time. I'd have to watch it again to see if it still like holds up. I do like the director, Walter Hill. He directed one of my favorite movies, The Warriors. All right. That's your top 20 films. We're going to look at the next few films like in sets of 10. We're each going to kind of pick out a film that we think stands out in that 10. But I decided to throw a little twist on it tonight. Let's try to guess what each of us is going to pick from the next 10. So between 21 and 30, I'm looking at the list. I'm going to say that Mike is going to pick A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, number 30. Knowing that Nightmare on Elm Street is your favorite horror film, I figured number 2 has to be on that. That was number 30.
There's a lot of good ones in the next 10. So.
Oh, there's a lot of good ones in the 20 to 30 realm. Now, E.T. is number 21, but that was a re-release from 2 years prior. But also on that list are some really good ones. Kevin. I'm going with Teen Wolf.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go, Teen Wolf.
Oh, that was a good guess, but it's wrong.
What are you going with?
For Kevin Costner and Kevin Kline and Danny Glover as cowboys.
Silverado.
Also had Jeff Goldblum.
Mm-hmm. Early Kevin Costner film, very early.
Yeah.
That film was kind of
Brian Dennehy.
Yeah, Silverado was kind of given to Kevin Costner as a as like sort of like a consolation prize because he was in the Big Chill. Yeah, he was in the Big Chill. He was the dead body, and they cut him out. And I think he kind of got this as like a thank you for that. Although Teen Wolf is another good one on this list, another Michael J. Fox film. Coming off the heels of Back to the Future success.
It's actually
Teen Wolf
is actually on my list of at some point of films that time forgot.
No, you want a film that time forgot? You got to do Teen Wolf 2.
Teen Wolf 2.
That don't count. No, I don't.
T-O-O 2.
No.
Which film would I choose on this list?
101. No, I'm just kidding. Murphy's Room. No.
I between two.
Yeah, what 2 do you think?
St. Elmo's Fire or Commando?
Oh, you see, I was going to say Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
No, he hated Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. I thought.
Yeah, I like Mad Max and I like Road Warrior. I did not like Thunderdome. And come on, between Elmo's Fire and Commando, which one do you think I would choose? Commando, get the fuck out of here. Commando. Not one of Arnold's better films, but I love Commando anyway. Not in the top 5, but it's in the top 10.
Well, you have to talk about
son of a bitch.
Yeah,
that's what that one is. I would love to at some point do Arnold Schwarzenegger's career.
We'll pick a time.
The best part of the movie Commando is his name is John Matrix. Because when you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, you think a man named John Matrix. And the other most unreal thing of that film is that his daughter is played by Alyssa Milano. Numbers 31 through 40.
We're all picking 38.
We're all picking 38. That's the other John Hughes film on the list.
I know. We're all picking 38.
I don't know, Mike. I thought you would have picked 36, Summer Rental.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that would either be Lee or you, Mike.
A little John Candy joint. Anybody going with Desperately Seeking Susan to 31?
No, but I have to say, guilty pleasure of mine. Every holiday season, I watch number 39, Santa Claus the movie.
Santa Claus the movie.
Yeah.
Not the
How
Care
about
Bears
Fright
movie.
Night?
Fright Night's another good one, man.
It is Fright Night.
Fright Night's a really good one.
The Last Dragon.
Last Dragon. Prizzi's Honors, one of the films that was up for Best Picture that year.
But I know
but my pick on the list is 38. You know that it's a John Hughes film.
well.
So I love Weird Science.
I love Weird Science.
I think of all John Hughes' films, probably the one that doesn't hold up that well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't think it could be made today, but I still enjoy it.
It's also that little one that's kind of like off in the corner by itself.
Yeah, it stands out when you look at his other films. Like it's not, it doesn't feel like a John Hughes film. Numbers 41 to 50. Mike, you're going with 48, Lady Hawk.
Well, it comes up. There's a close second. That one is number 42.
142, Black Cauldron. Yeah, Black Cauldron's a good one.
Oh God,
Not Porky's Revenge. Cauldron.
no.
Oh wow.
42 comes up number 2 for mine.
Yeah.
After
I think the one I would choose is Black Cauldron.
I would choose number 46, another Steven Spielberg movie.
Young Sherlock Holmes.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's one of the first uses of CGI in a movie, aside from Tron. This was one of the first uses of CGI.
Nobody Wants Invasion USA. I think that's a Chuck Norris joint. Let's see. Now we're starting to get into the Myers here. Number 51 to 60. Man.
Everybody's going to pick the same one.
Yeah, I think we all got number 57 on this one.
Yeah.
Number 57 is Clue. Clue,
Yes.
a true cult classic because it did not do well in the box office.
Not Return of the Living Dead.
I like Return of the Living Dead. I do. I like Remo Williams. The Adventure Begins is a really weird movie, but I like it a lot. The rest of these, like Death Wish 3 is one of those like sequels that didn't need to be made. Kiss of the Spider Woman is a good movie. It's a really weird movie. William Hurt won the Oscar for Best Actor that year for this film.
The Falcon and
But yeah,
Sky has a good soundtrack.
Yeah, a lot of Live and Die in LA has a good soundtrack. But I think for me, it's Clue. Clue is the best one on in that list of 10. Let's see here, 61 to 70. Oh, I know which one I'm choosing, and it's probably the same one Mike is.
Enemy Mine.
And Kevin, yeah, Enemy Mine, number 7.
Oh, no, that wasn't my choice.
Oh,
That wasn't
no,
yours.
no.
What's yours?
66.
Real Genius. Real Genius.
66.
Yeah.
Real Genius.
I'll give you another
Nice,
one on
nice.
another one that's really good too. Is
Oh.
number 69. Silver Bullet is a Stephen King movie
Oh, is it?
about werewolves. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see.
71 through 80. There's a lot to choose from that I pick.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, there's like a pretty decent list. I'm going to disqualify number 73, Return of the Jedi, because that's a
It's
re-release from 2 years prior.
Right.
But then you have from 71 to 80, Life Force, Just One of the Guys, Return to Oz, Crush Groove, Gotcha, Missing in Action 2, Purple Rose of Cairo, Moving Violations, and After Hours. Kev, I'm going with you, Return to Oz.
Yes. But a close second would have been Just One of the Guys.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Just one of the guys. And Mike, for you, I'm also going Return to Oz.
Yeah. Out of that group, yeah.
And then for me, probably Missing in Action 2, because that's also Chuck Norris. Let's see. Now we're starting to get really into the dregs here, man. Number 81 to 90. I see Once Bitten in there. Explorers, which I covered in our very first Films of Time Forgot episode 52.
Yeah.
52 is when I talked about that.
Better off.
You want to hear Mike talk about Lady Hawk, you got to go back to episode 111.
Let me guess. You're going to take Explorers, Lee.
Yeah, Explorers.
I will say Kevin takes Once Bitten.
No, I'm not a Jim Carrey fan.
You know, I'm
No, I would have either done Explorers or Better Off Dead.
I would do
Nope.
Journey of Dead again.
Journey in that again.
I thought that was a pretty good flick.
Let's see. Numbers 91 to 100. I don't see too
Man with
many
one
in
red
here.
shoe.
Man, one red shoe. I'm seeing that was in This Is Now, which is
Tom
this.
Hanks, isn't it?
What's that?
Wasn't that the man with one red shoe? Wasn't that early Tom Hanks?
I thought it was. Let me pick
Wasn't
it
it Gene Wilder?
up.
Or is that Lady in Red? One red shoe. Yeah, you're right. That's Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an early Tom Hanks film. I'm thinking Lady in Red, which was Gene Wilder.
Mm.
That would then This Is Now, which is a sequel to The Outsiders. Loose sequel. But that's all I'm saying. I'm not really seeing too many other ones. And
You don't
you know,
see number 99?
Daryl.
Daryl! Got the
Um,
robot boy. It's adopted. It was the predecessor to AI.
wasn't the predecessor to that TV show Small Wonder. That's not even coming up on IMDb, Daryl. Oh, here it is. They go really far down the list to find that. A seemingly normal boy is found abandoned on a mountain road and adopted by a family who are amazed by his abilities before discovering the secret of his true identity. Colleen Campson, that from Clue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What do we got next? He-Man and She-Ra. Transylvania 65000 and 104. Anybody?
No, I'm doing Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer.
You're doing what?
Rainbow Bright, the Star Stealer. Oh, wait, that's
That's number 117. Red Sonja 105. Boy, that's a bad movie. That's Schwarzenegger and the chick that Stallone was married to at the time from Rocky IV. So number 111, Jim Cotta. I have never heard of this film until recently when two podcasts that I listened to that cover bad movies both talked about this film. Bad Movies Rule covered it, and another podcast called How Did This Get Made covered Jim Cotta. It's a martial arts film, but the star of the film is a gymnast. So he does like gymnastics-based martial arts. And at some point in the film, there's a fight scene on a pommel horse. It's
Watch out,
insane.
he's going to tumble.
Yeah. You got Day of the Dead at number 15. We got Gremlins at 116. That's another re-release. Another one that we covered not too long ago, episode 176. Mike's favorite film, Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer. My Science Project at 121, yeah. Godzilla 1985. Ron, which is number 124, Ron. That's a good movie. That's Akira Kurosawa. Star Chaser, The Legend of Orin. That's an animated film. Yeah, and then it just kind of goes from there. I think now we're
you got 129, The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah, we got Reanimator at 140 is a pretty good one. Warning Sign, we'll talk about that one in a minute. I never heard of this movie, but somebody submitted it on social media. Heavenly Bodies. 147. I saw the title of this film, and I had to look it up just to see what it was. It's called The Perils of Gwendolyn in the Land of the Yik Yak. And after looking at the description of it, it looks like one of those Skinamax late-night films.
Woohoo!
And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
I'm going further down the list here, and I'm not seeing too many things. I see Morons from Outer Space at 160. That's about it. Yeah, like now as we get really down to the bottom of this list, like I don't know any of these films.
No.
So yeah, so those are the films of 1985. The top 10 again were Back to the Future, Rambo: First Blood Part 2, Rocky IV, The Color Purple, Out of Africa, Cocoon, The Jewel of the Nile, Witness, The Goonies, and Spies Like Us. On social media today, I said, hey, everybody out there, we're covering the films of 1985 this evening on our recording. Does anybody want to tell me what their favorite film of 1985 was? Mike Bruno 52882 on Threads said his favorite films of 85 were Goonies, The Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Commando, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Back to the Future, and Teen Wolf. And then he said, I'll save some other titles for other people. Thanks. Lopan 1975 said his favorite movie is Clue. I am not going to argue with that.
Nope.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast on X said Warning Sign. This is the one we were talking about earlier before show because I'd never heard of it. And it stars Sam Waterston from Law and Order. And it looked like an early version of what would be the 90s film Outbreak. Basically. Jeremy on the Paranormal The New Normal podcast, who just joined the network with us, picked the Purple Rose of Cairo, Explorers, Silverado, Life Force, Cocoon, Enemy Mine, The Howling 2, My Sister is the Werewolf, and Lady Hawk. Scoob at the Undiscovered Entrepreneur picked The Black Cauldron as his favorite film of 1985. Again, not going to argue with that. And those are some of the submissions that we got for tonight's episode. So thank you, everybody, for letting us know what your favorite films of 1985 are. We hope you agree with a lot of our choices as well. Mike, you have any beer trivia or history or anything for us tonight?
Beer history. While some scholars maintain Chinese samshu was distilled from fermented wheat, most agree that sorghum was the original grain used to make this fiery spirit. There are accounts of a beer-like beverage much like Japanese sake that was precursor to samshu called pika. That
Pikachu?
No, P-E-K-A. Pika. That is simply a fermented grain beer flavored with anise and other herbs. It has been around since at least the Qi dynasty in the 2nd century BCE.
Mike's pushing the limits tonight, man, doing Chinese trivia and Russian facts.
Movies.
I did better with the Chinese than I did with the Russian.
I don't know Chinese as well as I know Russian, so I'll take your word for it. We have a cinema quote of the week.
The art challenges the technology, and the technology inspires the art. John Lasseter.
That might have been true back in the day, but now I feel like sometimes the technology takes the place of the art. I mean, John Lasseter was a writer on Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Cars, Toy Story itself. So, I mean, like, he isn't lying about the inspiration, but, like, you know.
Well, for like Pixar movies, it's more that the technology inspires the art because it's all animated.
Yeah, but then, like, at the same time, there are some films where I think the technology replaces the art.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining us tonight for episode 184 this year in film history, the year 1985. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast tonight as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsoffermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsoffermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Remember, we're going to be doing a little mailbag episode in the future, so please send us your comments, your suggestions, your requests, whatever it might be. Become part of the Films of Fermentation family by joining us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. You can also watch the podcast now on the Pod Nation Media Network app on Roku and text us at 904-867-4466. Make sure you stop by the crossroads between Pickle and Fermented next time around for episode 185. Episode 185, we're going to be taking a look at the celebration of 50 years of Saturday Night Live by making a list of the best and the worst, spoiler alert, probably more worse than best, of the SNL movies based on some of their famous sketches. It's 50 years of SNL in the movies next time around. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
This has been the Films and Fermentation Podcast. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I know what to think, so I got a drink. And then I showed it something that was round. Then it died, smiled, and fell on the ground. Thinking back about those days with the clown, I get teary-eyed and really snide.
I feel like he's just like throwing out words that somewhat rhyme together at that point. At least he's not rhyming plasty with plasty.
Corned beef. I see.
I see. All right, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.